So welcome to Face to Face, and today is going to be a very special show. We're going to do some magic, and I'm with Justine Sight, who is a very special New Yorker, I think from Brooklyn, or I'm not sure, but I live in Brooklyn. And Justine, welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you.
So, you want to explain your case? How did you got to I don't want to say too much, so go ahead. Because
Okay. Well, I am a legally blind magician.
with, in some way.
And I have a condition called Stargardt's disease, which is a form of macular degeneration, something a lot of older people get. But I got lucky, so I got it early.
Well, I don't know if it's lucky, but.
I am from Poland as well.
Okay.
And when I came here, I started performing on the streets and in the subways and such, and I started making a living that way, and eventually built kind of more of a business where now I do a lot of gigs and parties and events and things of that nature.
Yeah, so you became a big shot, but you started, no, it's true.
But I started on the streets and in the subways.
Street, and that's what I wanted to
Yes.
go, because it was like, I saw some of your videos on the subway, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic how, with the support of people in New York, we can move. So first, how did you get to do magic? I mean, it's like it's a little bit weird for somebody who cannot see to do magic trick who are visual effect. How did you end up doing this? I mean, what?
So to clarify, I can see.
Yeah.
And I can probably see better than a lot of people think I can.
Okay.
When I tell them I'm legally blind.
Okay.
The condition mainly affects the central part of my vision.
Okay.
Not that I still can't drive or like read without the use of special equipment.
Okay.
Like glasses don't help. But if I sit really close to a TV,
Okay.
I could see pretty much what's going on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was little, that's what happened. There was a magic special on TV, and my mom told me, like, ran into the room. She's like, "You have to see this." And I saw it, and I was captivated. And from that point forward, I just started learning as much as I can.
So it's your mother's fault.
Pardon?
It's your mother.
It's my mom's fault, very much so, yes.
So
Thanks,
why
Mom.
does she say, what does she say to you to watch this and not?
She just knew it's something I'd like.
Yeah.
You know, she was just like, oh, she was excited, and she's like, turn this on, you know, and I mean, ever since then, it's just been.
You have been doing some trick and so on and so forth.
Just learning as much as I could, yeah.
Okay, and then so you end up in New York City?
Yes, so that was moved to the States when I was 6 years old. We grew up in Connecticut most of my life, then lived here a little bit as a kid, but then moved back here by myself, it's 3.5 years ago. Okay. And that's when I kind of started being focused on becoming, you know, a magician in a bigger and bigger way.
Yeah. And then, so tell stories about the street, because I'm fascinated by that aspect. I mean, I can imagine the gigs with, you know, corporation and so on and so forth. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
But for someone to start on the street, it's really it's unusual. Again, it's one of the things where people have bad view of the street, and I think they are wrong. But it's I think a lot of very interesting things could happen on the street. Yes. And it's where people are. So if you want to. Sure.
Yeah. It was to go out and busk. It's called busking when you go to perform on the street. That's the term.
The legal term.
Yeah, the legal term. The idea has been in my head, had been for a while, and people had encouraged me kind of my whole life to do something with the magic. One of the things be like, oh, you should go, you know, put a hat down and whatever. So it was really a circumstance of me wanting to do it, but also life pushing me in that direction. I had to make extra income. I was finally able to go out on my own at a certain point, because it's very difficult finding work with this condition. You know, I was very lucky to have a friend that got me a job as a doorman in Connecticut, and I got to move out with him. And it was a town that was about 45 minutes outside of New York. And even then, eventually that job was starting to collapse, and it was starting to become apparent, okay, either I do something, find something different, or I have to go back and rely on my
somebody else,
mother,
yeah.
and I
It's a
did
very
not want to do that.
complicated- Yeah, yeah.
And so it pushed me in the direction, okay, now I have to make extra income. And I set out to come here and do this, and it was something that I found very frightening. And it took me 3 weeks of kind of coming every weekend until I finally just put the hat down at Washington Square Park. And it was already, the sun was going down, and no one came up because it was like freezing cold, it was in the fall. But I was so happy, you know,
Yeah.
I was so happy. And then the next weekend I came back and I set up at Grand Central Station, and all of a sudden the response was enormous, and people started coming, you know, and the feeling, I just felt like I belonged here.
Yeah.
And the universe responded. Like all of a sudden, the right people came up. The right people came into my life, you know, it was very much, it was very magical.
Very magical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I mean, you were able to make a living there? I mean, like once a week or twice a week?
So going there, I started going there every day after my normal job because the hours had been cut. So I started going every day. I would come back at 3 in the morning, go to work at 7, then come back here. And that was able to keep me living there. Then eventually, I left that job completely, and because I did find someone here that was able to move in with, and at that point I was able to make a living.
And then you make another 1,000 people, and then from there you start to get
started handing out the business cards, started getting some news publicity, meeting some famous people here and there. It was very magical, very interesting.
So, what recommendation can you make to people who have difficulties, who have some kind of impaired situation? And I know New York, you have very tough people who do. I mean, I know people who do. Somebody who is blind who do a radio show. I mean, it's a lot of people who are doing crazy and very interesting stuff. So, but what could be a recommendation for people?
You know, the thing that's always been like for a long time, kind of like a basis for me and what I do in terms of doing it well is spirituality, and that's not religion. That's what it's really about for me is seeing things as they are, and being as present as you can in this moment.
In the situation.
You know, and being aware of the thoughts that come into your head, and that feeling that you have of, oh, well, I'm not good enough, or it's, you know, it's not going to go well, and just being aware as much as possible that I don't know what's going to happen, and understanding that anything can happen, and hopefully taking action and just seeing what happens, you know, and that kind of awareness, to be able to have that kind of awareness, that space was so crucial in this entire thing, because if I didn't have that, there was so much doubt and so much discouragement, and anyone who's faced with any challenge is going to experience that. So to be able to unstick from that, because and see it for what it is.
That's a little bit where we are stuck right now. We are judging before we even start to do anything. And then so if you start to judge, or others start to judge you too, so it gets a very complicated mix, and so you end up not doing it, and it gives you no space and no energy to move forward, and it's a very complicated situation.
All your bandwidth is taken up by the past and the future, and it's all in your head.
Exactly. So how do you call it? Faith? You call it why you call it spirituality? I mean,
because
I'm not against it, but I'm just
absolutely. I call it that because I delved into this kind of work.
Okay.
We can call it introspective work. In my youth, when I started suffering severe anxiety and depression, and through being lucky, I was able to stumble onto all these different traditions that pointed to a different possibility of living. This is the essence of all the major religions: Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam. All of these point to this one thing, to transcending the ego, if you will. And it was such a big
I'm a humanist, and
so
we are working,
and CeeLo, absolutely. CeeLo is
we are working on that very much. It's a very, very strong part. But coming from you, it's a very
Yes.
very interesting. We have to cut. You're going to give us some surprise. You're
Sure.
going to do some magic here.
Yes. Okay, David. Can you please say stop for me somewhere?
Sure. Stop.
Take the card and memorize it. And it doesn't matter. You could obviously make sure the camera can see. It doesn't matter if I know what it is. I'll look at it. 3 of hearts. Now, one of the things I was really most fascinated about, one of the subjects that drew me most in school back in the day, was science, and especially the makeup of reality, like physical matter. And do you remember learning about atoms? Atom, right? They said everything is made of atoms, tiniest particles. Except an atom is mostly what? Do you remember?
Nothing.
Nothing. So everything around you is
it's made of
essentially nothing. And that boggled my mind. I started wondering, how is it that this all appears so solid when it's essentially nothing? So I started wondering, maybe it's, and I'm not a scientist, I'm probably not right, but maybe it's the electrons. Maybe they move around so fast it creates the illusion. So can you see the 3?
Yep.
What if you could move the 3 and speed up the electrons? Would it look differently? Like, does this look blurry to you when I do this? Of course it should, right?
Yeah, it does.
It should look a little blurry. Can you show the camera? Can the camera see it in my mouth? The idea here, though, is if it's moving at a different rate, theoretically, can I phase through this card as if there's nothing there? Is that something I can do? And I guess I could.
It looked like it.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Of course, then when we're done, hopefully the camera can pick this up, but that's that. Okay. Let's do we have time for one more?
Sure.
Okay. Let's do this. Have you ever seen, by the way, I've had these cards for 10 years.
Yeah.
Can you tell that they're totally decaying and falling apart? Same with this box.
The box, yeah.
Yeah,
The box,
yeah, the box.
definitely.
Is that a normal box though? Other than
Yes,
it's falling apart,
it's a
I
box.
got it taped together a little bit.
Yeah, it's a box.
Have you seen the film Interstellar?
No.
Does that ring a bell? Never? This is another science-based thing. Let's see if we could do this. Have you ever heard of something called a wormhole in science? Never? We're going to try to open a wormhole.
Okay.
Okay. Again, say stop somewhere.
Stop.
Take the card, look at it, and here's the best thing. Hold this for just a sec. I'm going to take the box. I'm going to draw something, and tell me what this looks like to you.
A square.
A square with a little knob. It's a little door. A wormhole is a bend in space-time. So if this is a wormhole, theoretically, I could open it and see into your hand. I'm not sure what that is. It's red. Is that your card?
Yes.
What is that? Show it to the camera so they can see too. So what
It is a card.
It's a
Yeah.
ace?
Ace.
Or that's no, that's an ace. Okay.
Yeah.
When I'm
Okay.
done, I just close the door. And they're not naturally occurring, these wormholes, so you could just wipe it away like this.
It's a
And
magic.
that's that. There's nothing there. You could try, there's nothing there.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
That was Face to Face, and please keep watching your news on presenza.com, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you.